All right, this week's focus, we're looking at connection and bringing that strong lock we worked on last week at the front end all the way through that drive, really allowing ourselves to hang off of the handles, suspending that body weight out over the water here. So, here's Jenna.
We're starting with EJ and Audrey first, checking out. Of course, we're going to be looking at that front end. We're going to see those blades are going to the water like we worked on 2 weeks ago. Okay, so right there, the blade should be fully buried. All right, so on the next one, we'll stop it when it gets to the catch. So we were a little late to the water, just slightly. Those hands could have risen a little bit more, a little sooner. Let's see. Right there. Okay, so we're at full compression. You can see that EJ and Audrey are both all the way up their slides. Might be a little bit blurry, but you can still see it. And those blades are still pretty high off the water there, so those should be at least halfway buried here so that we can get some good connection right when we turn those butts around. So what we're looking for is the blade is buried before the seat starts to change direction away from the coxswain. Okay, so we're gonna maybe take it a couple frames here. Okay, all right. So we noticed that there was, I looked at EJ there, and there was a lift of the body up to get that blade in, and the seat started to move before it was fully buried. Okay. So lift, and the seat moved a couple inches before that full bury. Okay. And then if we look back at Audrey, see, yeah, see, so that seat, that butt moved probably at least 3 inches before that blade was in the water. Okay, so we'll go ahead and kind of watch through here. Through towards the catch. Hands went down. Audrey, that was better. So looking also on the next one, we'll stop and see if you were able to get any really good hang where it looks like you're suspending some weight off of that handle. Because that blade is so locked onto the water, you're able to suspend some weight. So we're going to look for that. Okay, right here. Go a little bit further. Okay, so yeah. So here EJ looks good. She's hanging on the handle. It came a little bit late because that blade, she kind of lifted the body a little to get there, and the blade wasn't fully locked on yet. But right here, it's pretty good. Okay, she still has some good compression with her legs. Strong lower back, and she's hanging, her outside arm is straight. She's hanging on it. Okay, Audrey, you're hanging on your outside arm, which is good. I do feel like you're a little upright, so we could be seeing your upper back stretched forward a little bit more. Yeah, so yeah, a little bit angled more. So if you look at the people, you know, in front of you and behind you, they're a little bit more angled forward. So that's going to give you that length and holding on to it and really feeling the stretch through the shoulder blades that we've been talking about. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we can maybe speed it up a little bit, so you can go ahead and just watch yourself. We'll have this at full speed on the YouTube channel as well on a separate video, so you can kind of watch that. But yeah, this is going back to that, making sure the blade is in before they change direction. Okay, now we're back here at Emma and Louisa. Yeah, okay. So let's see, why don't we go to the next stroke as we approach the catch here. Right there. Whoa, okay, so this obviously, I think it must be down to starboard because usually it's not this drastic. And I see, you know, like Audrey's blade is way higher here than it was on the previous strokes. So maybe we'll go to the next stroke, see if it's a little bit better, to get a better idea of what your blades are doing on a slightly more set stroke. Okay, yeah, there. Okay, so on this one, you can see that we're at pretty much full compression. Yeah, Emma's definitely at full compression, which means she's at the top of her slide. She's as far forward as she can get. Louisa might not have compressed her legs all the way. She's kind of leaning pretty far forward, and I'm not sure if that butt could have gone up anymore, but she's definitely pretty much at full slide there. And those blades are up in the air again, okay? And, you know, it might have been down to starboard consistently a little bit, but the goal should be to be finding that water. Okay, so as you're getting up those last few inches of the slide, your blade is searching for that water so that you're ready to lock on and be able to hang. So we're going to take it a couple, whatever, segments forward. See when it gets locked on there. Okay, so blades are fully in right now, and if you look at it, Louisa, that's pretty good hang. Okay, you have your outside arm is really hanging on the outside of the handle. Looks like a decently strong position. You could maybe be stretching through the shoulder blades a little bit more, but not bad. And then over here we have Emma doing your famous grab. Okay, so you might notice when we say grab, it means that you're tightening up those forearms a lot and using the biceps by kind of like breaking the arms, and it's that tension there instead of really stretching out through that left shoulder. So if you kind of look at Louisa, see how we can see her armpit and her shoulder, she's hanging on the handle. And then what happened with Emma is you kind of contracted that shoulder up towards your ears and started to break those arms, so we cannot see the armpit or, you know, that side of the shoulder there. So you're trying to take the load with your arms more than just hanging on it. So that's kind of one of those examples of what we mean by hanging longer. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go through. Okay, we'll come up to the next one. One of the things I want to see, you can go ahead and maybe pause again. I'll go. Okay, so I'm going to pay attention this time. I said I was going to last time, but to what your body's like if you move in the other direction before you're locked on. Yeah, okay. So Emma, you sat up a lot, kind of like EJ did, in order to get the blade fully buried, and your butt went back on the seat at least. Yeah, like it went down probably to a quarter of the way. Down the drive, sorry, before you were fully locked on. Okay, and Louisa had to lift a little bit, and your butt started to move before you were fully locked on, just a bit. Not too bad, but it could have all been prepared and in the water sooner before you changed direction. Yeah, so looking at the blades here, last week we saw a lot of rowing it in, which we were talking about means that the blades are going in the other direction before they even get into the water. Here it's, I think when Audrey just went back and forth there, it looked a little bit better than last time. Can you go back again? Yeah, so, okay, so watching the blades, are they going towards the coxswain before they're locked on? Better. It's much better than last week, so that's a good improvement. It's just now a matter of doing it just a little bit sooner and then knowing how to hang on it, being able to hang effectively on it, make sure that you're locked and loaded so that you can get the most power off that top quarter of the drive. Okay, but it is better on not driving the blades into the water. All right, I'm talking too much. I'll talk less on the last. It's always the first few people because you want to point everything out. All right, so just keep on kind of watching what your blades are doing and bodies are doing when you see it at faster speeds. All right, so we're on Faye and Adelaide. Okay, we'll go up to the next stroke just so we can see a full one. Looks like full slide there. Yeah, okay. So we're at full compression. We have Faye in a pretty good position. She could be up a little bit more. She's diving slightly with the right shoulder down, so your hands are going down a little low. If your hands were starting to, you know, search for the water, your hands would go up towards EJ's mid-back a little bit more. So your body's in a good position and supported, but your hands need to be trying to find the water. And Adelaide, kind of same thing. Although you're slouching again, because you remember we were talking about how you need to sit up and be taller. You're pretty much doing that big arch with your back again. So thinking about how you're going to, you know, stay stronger through the lower back and be just a little bit more supported there so you can feel more ready to take the load of the water. Okay. And your hands are down a little bit low too, so that blade's not going to be quite ready and in the water when you guys change directions. So let's see what happens if you change direction on your seat before. Okay, yeah, okay. So the blades are fully in right there, probably. Yeah, right there. So Faye already went like more than a quarter of the way down her drive, it looks like. And Adelaide about a quarter of the way down your drive before your blades were fully buried. So just imagine like you had all that compression and think of those strong hips and legs, and the boat's not receiving it that first quarter of your drive at all because the blade is only part way in. So we're not getting that full effect of all your power, okay? So definitely, you know, once you get to this point, then Faye is hanging on a nice long outside arm. She has a supported lower back. Okay, that's a pretty good position. It just took too long to get the blade in to be able to be loaded, fully loaded. Adelaide could be sitting up a little bit stronger just to be able to really have those hips well connected to those hands. Because when you're bent like that, it kind of breaks that connection. You're not in the strongest position that you could be in. Okay.
You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, sure. So you guys can kind of just watch the path of what you're doing and what your hands are doing. Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead. When we watch the bow fore, we'll look for that rowing it in thing again, just to see if the starboard side look like they were, if their blades look like they're coming back toward Izzy before they're buried. It actually, it doesn't look bad. We definitely, once again, could be getting the blades a little bit more direct to the water, but we're definitely not having the blades travel towards Izzy as much as last week. Okay, so Sophie and Sierra?
Alice.
No,
that's Sierra.
yeah, Sierra.
They were all there.
So we're at full compression. Sierra, your blade's going to the water. Okay, that's good. We should have it even more so, but you're the one that's the closest, so that's good. Congratulations there. Sophie, you've got a nice path with your hands. Again, you tend to keep your hands pretty steady as you're coming up to the catch, but that blade should be going into the water at this point since we're up at the catch. Okay, so let's see it enter the water and see if your seats move. Yeah, okay, so this is good for Sierra to see. Okay, so Sierra, the first movement that happens with your body is your shoulders go up, your body straightens up vertically. You see that? And your legs barely did anything. Okay, so that whole first chunk, you're losing the connection to your footboards with those strong legs of yours because your body goes up first. So then you're breaking all that strength and power you could be getting from your hips and your legs. So you're just losing a bunch of that, okay? So I want you to definitely be watching that. And then Sophie, when your blade was finally locked on, your seat had moved. Yeah, okay. So it was okay, but you were almost to a quarter down your drive before you were fully buried. So it could be better. Yeah, so once again, blades weren't fully locked on before seats changed directions. So Sierra, yours is a slightly different case because your seat didn't really move, your body moved. So you're taking that first huge heavy load with your back and your arms rather than with your hips and your legs, okay? So really watch for that as we're going through here. And we'll just kind of let this run and then we'll watch, see if the blades look like they're rowing it in again, like, are they chained? Yeah, it's better. It's much better than last week. So it doesn't look like the blades are going, you know, like a foot in the other direction before they're in the water. So we've gotten that a bit better. But Sierra, really looking at that. Yeah, so you break your arms, they kind of bend early, lift your body, and that's those legs look like they're not really doing much when you have really a lot of power that you could be putting into the boat. Okay. All right. Alice and Michaela. Yeah. Okay. So we're coming up to the catch. All right. So this tends to be an issue, Alice. You tend to not get to full compression with your legs. If everyone looks, there's still, you know, a decent amount of space in between. And it's not that we don't want you to over compress. where you're not, like your knees are like way in front of your toes or anything. But we do want you to be able to get to full slide so you can keep that long stroke and really get a nice explosive feeling off from the hips and the quads. So we don't want you to shorten yourself up. And part of that, I think, is because you're collapsing down a little bit on top of your legs and your hands go low. So it's almost like you don't have space. It's like you're blocking yourself because you're about to hit the gunnel, or I don't know what it is. So if your eyes were higher and your hands were up higher, I feel like you would think you have more room to kind of rotate out towards your rigger, and you'd get maybe an inch or two more on the slide. Michaela, you have full compression here, have kind of an interesting position with your shoulders and your back. I think what's happening, the good thing is you're not super rigid, so you've gotten a little bit more relaxed. But it's almost like you're maybe keeping your inside arm a little, or inside shoulder a little tight, instead of allowing your outside shoulder to be high and allow yourself to rotate out towards your rigger. You're kind of just trying to like reach forward instead of reach out and around. So I think that would give you a stronger position with your body and kind of look a little less awkward with that inside shoulder. So let's see if your seats change direction when it goes up. Yeah, okay, so, whoa, wait a second. Okay, I think I was watching Alice. So blade is fully buried here. Well, Michaela's isn't, but Alice's is. So Alice, not bad. Since you didn't get all the way up to full slide, though, in the first place, it's kind of like you were just in that position of being a quarter of the way down your drive already when you got locked on. So you could have gotten that a little bit earlier. And then Michaela, right there, you're fully buried. Okay. And what's happening is you're starting to sit up. So you're starting to take it with your body, instead of hanging on it longer with that outside arm and just allowing that back to stretch through the shoulder blades. Well, I guess it wasn't that bad there.
Your pants match your shirt.
Yeah,
Makes it hard to see.
Hard to see. It's all like an optical illusion. So, yeah, I think mainly the thing there is that tight inside shoulder. It just kind of makes it feel like you have to shorten your stroke and your hands kind of have to dive down instead of allowing your left arm to go high and around toward your rigger. So right there, right here, this position is pretty nice. Alice is still forward of her hips there, so she's still hanging. She might be breaking her arms a little early, like her left arm. It looks like it's starting to bend when she could be really hanging and letting her shoulder blades be stretched out. Michaela, you're doing a good job at hanging, but you're also hanging so rigidly with the inside arm. So I think that's one reason it looks so tight, like it looks like you don't have a neck, right? And from this side, since it's your inside shoulder, we should be able to see your neck, and your right shoulder shouldn't be up so high. So you're kind of trying to pull evenly with both arms when really you should be hanging the most from the outside arm. So that's, I think, one of the things that's going to make it look a little less like rigid and tense. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of just watch that. Yeah, definitely. And we're going to be working after this week. So next week, the week after next, we'll be working on kind of that rotation, getting those bodies around in the correct positions and talking about all the little nuances with shoulders and angles and those kind of
sternums.
And, yeah, all of that kind of stuff. And that's going to help. So we're on Camille and Holly. Yeah, Camille and Holly.
Back up.
Okay, so we're at full compression right here. Okay, and you'll notice that Camille, you're doing that tight inside arm thing too that Michaela was doing. So that right shoulder is up pretty high. And so it's kind of like you're trying to stay centered in the boat instead of going out and around toward your rigger. So that's going to shorten your stroke up. It also makes you drop your hands down lower than they need to. So you'll notice your blade is the highest up off the water. And that's partially because you're so tight on the inside. that you're not allowing the left arm to reach up and around, which would make the blade go down toward the water. Holly, you're doing a nice job of working on trying to get length, but you'll notice it almost looks like it's kind of getting into a weak position there because you're kind of diving, you're going a little too far. You're doing a decent job. It's kind of amazing that you're in that position and your blade is the closest to being buried in the water. So you're somehow getting so fully compressed and so bent forward, but you're still managing to lift your hands up, okay, which takes a little bit of skill and flexibility. So we want to see you maybe thinking about, you know, supporting yourself a little bit more, like keeping your arms a little bit more above your knees, just slightly, and thinking about the rotation, which I keep saying rotation even though we haven't worked on that yet, but that's going to make a big difference. Instead of thinking about reaching out toward Amanda as far as you can, you're going to be reaching out and around towards your side a little bit more, and that might keep you a little more upright. But you're the closest to getting your blade in, so let's see if your body's moving the other direction before you're fully... Okay. So, Camille, big time, you're like halfway down your drive, and you had to lift your body because your hands were down so much you kind of had to lift your shoulders, and your body is almost vertical by the time you're fully in the water. And Holly, you're still having you're probably feeling like, wow, you know, I'm rowing so long, I have a really good hang off of my outside arm, but your slide is coming out quite a bit before you're fully loaded. So look there. When we get right here, yep, yeah. So you were almost halfway down your drive when your blade was fully in the water. Let's go to where she was fully in the water, right there. Okay, so look at your legs. They've gone quite a bit. Like if you look at them compared to Lena's, your leg seat is like halfway down your drive already. Okay, you haven't been even fully loaded yet. So we lost all that first half of the drive. And it's still, to you, it feels like you're getting great hang and great weight against you because you're doing a nice job hanging on your outside arm, but your blade wasn't fully buried early enough for that to really help you the most when your legs are the strongest. So working on making sure you're locked on before that seat changes direction is going to make a big difference. And Camille, just working on, you know, that relaxing that inside of your body there, reaching around so that you can get a long stroke and then feel the shoulder blade stretch. So we'll go ahead and just... Yeah, so Holly, we just kind of want everything to move together a little bit more. It doesn't really look like you're shooting your slide that much, but you are slightly because those hips are coming backwards, but the handle's not really coming with you. So we got to get the blade locked on. So we're on Isabel and Sam. Okay. So we're at the catch position right here. Yeah. Okay. So once again, blades aren't in the water yet, and they should be entering the water because we're at full compression. Okay, and the seats are about to change direction. Isabel, you know, you do get a lot of length, but it's still not in the strongest position. We still need to work on your core because you're really like hunched over those legs. Okay, I do like that you relax your upper back, but you're just too hunched over, and I think you can see that there. Okay, so it's just like really low. It's going to probably end up having to lift up as you're taking the stroke because you're so low. You're not going to be able to maintain that. Sam, still rigid with the inside arm, just like Camille and Michaela were. So we still need to work on that inside shoulder coming down, allowing the outside hand to be coming up into the catch. So let's see if your seats change direction before the blades are in the water. Yeah, there. So maybe go back a couple frames. There. Okay. So not as extreme as some of the other ones. Okay. Sam, if your blade was fully buried a little bit earlier by having your outside arm going up into the catch, you probably would have done a pretty good job here being locked on early because your seat hasn't moved yet. You do still need to get more forward body angle to be able to kind of hang on it and relax those shoulders, but you are waiting to get connected before you really start moving. And the Isabel, on there, we had your butt move back. You're like a quarter of the way down your drive, but before you get fully locked on. Yeah.
None of the rowing coaches understood the idea of the booms go on the right and the rest go on the left.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Well, it was something in the last unit 2, or at least one of the last unit 2s, because these go off.
We're in the middle of a
we're
recording.
Something, sorry. It's okay. It's okay. So as we're, let's look on see how your guys' hang is on the oar here. Okay. Right, so we have, Isabel, you're doing a decent job there of hanging, you know, your upper back is getting some nice stretch through the shoulder blade. I can tell that you're keeping some, you know, good weight against the handle, and you actually didn't open up your body as much as I thought you were going to. You did have to lift a bit, but you didn't open up to vertical, so that's not bad. And Sam, you've gotten better at staying forward longer, because before you were like practically rowing straight up and down, like back and forth up your slide. So you've gotten a lot better at trying to get more length. So you just got to work a little bit more on those shoulders and relaxing. But that was pretty good. And if we watch, are we rowing it in? Are the blades going towards Sachi before everything changes directions? It's a lot better. Okay, so a lot better than before. We could still get those blades to the water a little sooner, but we weren't missing like a foot of water from each person when we were changing directions. Okay.
And Isabel, you'll notice from your full compression, as soon as we lock on and you start to take that weight, you're having to rearrange your core here a little bit, sitting up.
There's
just like
up.
Jenna said.
That's
we probably
what I was
would.
looking for. Yeah. Okay. It's almost already been a half an hour. I keep saying I'm going to make it shorter, guys, and then I just can't help myself.
It's never going to happen.
Cannot help myself. All right. So we'll be moving on to Amanda and Lena. At first I thought that was Flava, and Lena, it's because your hair is not in a braid. So, you know. All right, here we go. So Amanda and Lena. We're approaching the catch. We are at full slide there. Whoa, we already changed direction. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So this one might, well, I don't know. It might have been a little offset to the other side. Looks like Port's hands are pretty low. So it might be down to Port, which makes it harder to get your blade to the water. But once again, even if it's offset, you should be working on lifting those hands so you can try to find the water with your blade before you change direction. Lena, that's pretty good even with a messed up rigger. Your blade is starting to go towards the water. It should be entering the water, but you're ahead of everybody else with that, so that's good. And Amanda, that blade's way up there. It's probably the highest one. So, you know, really thinking about as those last few inches up towards that person in front of you, those hands need to come up, up, up until you find that water. Okay, so let's see if you guys change direction before you're fully buried. You gotta stop there. Or let's back it up.
Baker base, this is right with the radio check.
Right. There. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, a little more. Okay. Okay, so Amanda, you went back a couple inches on the slide. Not a ton, but a little bit. And Lena, you started to look like your shoulders started to lift up a little bit. So Amanda, though, when we're talking about hanging on it, you're doing a decent job. The one thing we do want to make sure is that your lower back is supported and that your inside arm isn't super tight. So once again, kind of what we're seeing from a lot of rookies is everyone always thinks my inside shoulder or arm needs to be doing the same amount as my outside, but really your outside is a little bit more. It's a longer lever. It's further out, okay? So it's going to have more load on it. So you need to think about really stretching through that outside shoulder blade and hanging on that. But you do have nice extension with your arms. And Lena, I think you might be breaking, sometimes you tend to break your arms a little early and use your biceps. It might be one reason you're so cut in your arms. Not necessarily a compliment, but you know, you tend to break your arms on the erg a little early too. So thinking about that stretch through your right shoulder blade, let that weight of that blade that's on that blade really stretch you out a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this through. Yeah, so Lena, you can tell there's a grab with your biceps. Like you're trying to grab stuff a little bit with your arms instead of getting that blade in and hanging, staying forward a little longer. And Amanda, yeah, you tend to kind of dip down with your right shoulder. Like it's kind of like your left shoulder goes higher and your right's lower, and it needs to be the opposite. Okay.
Looks like Emma and
Ava.
Ava.
So Ava, we know your back was bothering you, so that's one reason this is going to be extreme. But you do tend to stay very vertical in the boat and not kind of relax your back forward. And that might be partially because you're trying to protect your back, but you'll notice that it's even more extreme in this video because it was bothering you. So Emma, you've got some nice length here. Blade should be even a little closer to the water, but you're not doing a bad job. You could once again have your right shoulder a little bit higher, kind of rotating out toward your side. And then Ava, your hands are down pretty low, and then your back is super rigid. Okay, so let's see, yeah, blade right there. Okay. So Emma, you maybe lost a couple inches before you were fully buried of the first part of your drive. Not a ton, but a little bit. And then Ava, you kind of had to, it didn't move much, but I think because you're already sitting up so much, you kind of just lifted your hands, and then you're going to start straightening up your back now instead of using your legs first. Yep. Okay, so see right there, the leg drive, your leg drive is only halfway, well, maybe a little over halfway down, and everyone else's legs are down. So that means that you're not initializing with your legs, you're using your back, which is actually, you think you're protecting it, but you're putting a lot of load on your back to get that blade through the water when your legs could be doing some more of the work there. So thinking about that, legs first, and that's the same thing on the erg for you. Emma, you're breaking your arms a little early. You tend to do that. Your right arm kind of bends a little early. You could hang on those nice long arms as long as you want until that body starts swinging. Then you can break those arms. Okay, go ahead and watch that. Yeah, so Emma, you could just hang on it more, and we're going to work on rotation towards your rigor, which will help you get into a kind of a stronger position and use all your length. Ava, you'll just notice you're very straight up and down, so you're not getting a lot of length. And just like we were talking about before, you're using pretty much just your back. Okay. Taylor, and whoa, that stroke, let's not use that stroke. Oh my God. And Flava, right? Or is it? Yeah. Yep, that's Flava. Okay. So we'll go up to the next catch and we'll see where you guys are at. Okay, so we're at pretty much full compression here. Taylor, you'll notice your back is very curled. Okay, so we definitely want to see you supporting your lower back a little bit more. So think stronger core. What I do like is that you really are trying to reach for length, because I think we talked to you about that before, like, you know, just trying to get a nice long stroke, but we have to make sure we're not sacrificing a strong body position while you're reaching out for that length. Okay, but your blade is going towards the water a little bit. You could have your hands maybe a little bit higher and that blade would just be entering the water. And then Flava, you definitely have your hands a little too low. You can see that blade's up there, and this is 50-50. Like half the time you do a really nice job, and then half the time it's like whoop, like all of a sudden you just decided your hands are going to drop and that blade goes up. Okay, so it's all about kind of that steadiness of the hands, eyes staying up, hands following the eyes. So let's see if you move in the other direction. Yeah. Okay, so Taylor's fully buried. Flava's not quite so much. So Taylor, you had to see now how your back's in a better position. You're stronger now. You had to do so much lifting and straightening of just your back to get in a strong position. And your legs should have started that, not the back. So if your back was already in a strong position, your legs would have started that movement, which is a much stronger movement with the legs. And then Ava, we're missing, you know, that first, the blade is moving. Yeah, so that your blade moved from your full compression to like about a foot of rowing it in because you were not ready for the water. Your seat started moving back, and that you missed probably a foot of water there. Okay. Now when we get to here, we have some good hang from both of you guys. So Ava, you're doing a nice job hanging off that outside arm. So you're getting some nice suspension, or you could be getting some nice suspension there. You could have gotten more if you had the blade locked in earlier when there was more weight against the blade. And Taylor, you're hanging too. You might be breaking your arms a little early, your outside arm, but it looks like you're allowing yourself to stretch through the shoulder blade and kind of get some pressure against that blade. Okay, so go ahead and watch this. So Ava, see that stroke you just took, the blade was going to the water. Oh, and then that one wasn't. So it's just kind of inconsistent there. And it's like, I can tell you're working on it so hard, but it's just finding that muscle memory and making sure that's what you do every single time. Okay. Okay, this is our last boat. This is going to be a long video. Okay, so we're on Ella and Peyton.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Wait, why do I feel like we... Oh, yeah, okay. So we'll pause at the full compression. Yeah. Whoa, okay. So this is full compression. Ella, you can see that your hands are down pretty low. They should have been searching for the water already. And Paige, your blade is, your hands are okay, but they could have been rising up a little more toward Emma's mid-back to try to find that water. Ella, part of the reason this is happening is because you just slightly curl over a little too much. Right here you don't look like you're in a super weak position, but you're slightly collapsing down. So just staying a little more supported, hands up towards Alexis's face there. Okay, let's see where you end up. So Paige is locked on. She missed, her butt moved. She had to lift her body a little bit, and her butt moved maybe an inch or two before she was locked on. Ella had to lift her body up, and her seat moved probably a quarter of the way down the drive before she was locked on, okay? So that's something to think about. Blade in. We're losing that top quarter from you, Ella, and that's a strong top quarter. We do not want to lose that. And Paige, it was decent, but you kind of had to sit up, and so you're kind of breaking that connection again with those legs. We want left hand to rise, not your back. Left hand to rise, and then you can take it with the legs instead of lifting the back up, okay? So that could, both of you are hanging decently. Ella, you're a little tight on that inside shoulder like we've been talking to other people. It's not bad. It's not like your inside arm's super rigid. But just thinking once again about kind of like stretch through the left shoulder for you because you're a port. And Paige, you have a nice long outside arm there. You could probably be feeling the stretch through your shoulder blade a little bit more as well, though, like hanging on it just a little bit more. We'll go ahead and watch that through.
So this is the one where we took the 20-second little video, so I'm just going to back up to the couch for a bow bear.
Okay, so we're on Olivia and Melise. And Melise, look at that. That's a very nice stroke there. You're keeping your eyes up more and your hands up. Let's hope that happens on the next stroke too, but we'll see. So look, your blade's going to the water first, and I don't think you necessarily rushed the stroke there. Sometimes you do rush the slide a little bit, but I think you're just being more direct to the water than the other ports. If they were being direct, their blades would be about at that point too, because everyone else is at full compression as well. And Olivia, your hands are falling a little bit because same thing, inside shoulder's too tight. So you're staying too centered in the boat instead of rotating out toward your rigger, which is causing you to drop the left shoulder down and the right shoulder's tight up towards your ear. And that's causing that dip, and that blade is not getting towards the water there. So let's see if you guys move in another direction before. So Melise, you're locked on. Okay. Actually, go back a little. She was locked on pretty early. Yeah, okay, right there. So Melise, that was a pretty good stroke. Okay. You're supported. We're kind of at a weird angle, so we can't really see your upper back that well. But you are in a decently strong position. You're hanging on your outside arm. Inside arm isn't super tight, and you haven't really started the drive yet. So your blade is locking on decently early in the stroke. So not bad. Okay. You might be able to loosen your shoulder blades up a little bit to feel that stretch a little bit more, but not bad. And Olivia, let's see when you get locked on. Right there. So the motion that you had to make to get that blade in was a big lift of the body up. And those legs, the seat did start to move back in the other direction. The seat starts going back, and you have to lift up. So you lost the first couple inches of the drive, and you had to start using your back early instead of using your legs first. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what the other strokes look like. This one's better. Go ahead and pause that. So Olivia, that was a better path of your blade. Okay, so you did a better job of getting the hands up a little bit higher. And you're going to be able to do this more consistently when we fix that inside shoulder a little bit. But that was better. And right here, you're going to be able to get a much more connected stroke and way better than the previous week. So you're thinking about it and working on it, which is good. Okay, so go ahead and go through. Yeah, and so Melise, sometimes you just get a little rigid with your back and your shoulders. Like you could, it's not bad, but we feel like you could maybe relax a little bit on the inside of your body, rotate, and really allow yourself to feel the stretch through your shoulder blades a little bit more. Instead of saying you're kind of like super straight from your hips up to your shoulders instead of allowing a little bend in the upper back by your shoulder blades. Okay. Yeah, Olivia, this is improvement. There's way less rowing it in, missing a lot less water, okay? We just now need to kind of work on the angles to make sure everything is kind of going in the right direction. Okay. All right, so that was our work on connection, and we'll also post this at full speed after this. It'll take a while to load, so. All right, thanks.
Bye.